All right. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Steven Pearce. I lead the business recruitment team at the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance. I'm excited to have with us today Adam Sperling, who's Executive Director of the 2021 President's Cup. As you likely know, Charlotte's the host for this event, which will take place at Quail Hollow at the end of September next year. Adam, welcome.
Thanks, Stephen. Happy to be here.
Well, Adam, let's jump right in. Without a doubt, the number one thing on everyone's mind right now is the global pandemic of COVID-19. And I know you join us in wishing the best for each of our partners for their well-being, their health, and their safety. How are you and your team adjusting as a result of this new reality?
Yeah, it's a difficult time for everybody, and unprecedented. I think we're trying to manage just like everybody else is. First and foremost, identifying where our employees are safest and most comfortable to do the work. Second, checking on our partners, making sure from a personal standpoint, everybody that we work so closely with is doing okay. Seeing if there's any way that we can provide support, both on the personal and the professional side. And then three, planning for the future in an uncertain time. So, building contingency plans, identifying dates in time where we need to shift strategy from maybe plan A to plan B, plan C, as well as, mitigating the economic impact as best we can.
Yeah. Well, Adam, you mentioned the word uncertainty, and I think that's a great word to use. These are very uncertain times, but despite the uncertainty, just yesterday there was some exciting news announcing the international captain for the 2021 President's Cup. So Trevor Immelman has that honor. Can you give us some perspective as to what his responsibilities will be as international captain?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're really excited to have Trevor lead the international team. Trevor, comes from a long line of very successful South African golfers to make their way to the PGA Tour. 11 worldwide wins. Certainly, the 2008 Masters stands out. Mm-hmm. And the challenge in leading any team event is getting 12 successful individual golfers to come together, play for their team, play for their country. And play for the cup. And as leader of the international team, that responsibility and challenge is even greater in that, you're pulling together players from all over the world. There's cultural barriers, there's language barriers. So, it's a little bit easier to kind of mend 12 Americans together, conceivably, than it is to connect, culture from, Asia to Australia to South Africa to South America. But Ernie Els did an incredible job leading up to the 2019 event. Trevor was an assistant of Ernie's. And I think the team really came together. You saw that with the competition in Royal Melbourne in December of last year. And I think Trevor's going to take all that Ernie built, and having been so close to it, having played on 2 President's Cup teams previously, he'll keep that momentum going. The players, the fire that they have inside, they've lost 8 in a row. The international team is ready to win. The talent's there, and it's only a matter of time. So I think Trevor's ability to bring them together should lend for a really exciting time in Charlotte next fall.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to the competition. It should be exciting. I'm speaking of excitement. I'm personally excited about the President's Cup, and I know our team is as well. It puts us on a global stage, and we've been fortunate recently with a number of sporting events to be on the global stage. You're obviously familiar with what the Carolina Panthers did and what the Charlotte Hornets did, both in London and Paris, respectively. It's been a great platform for us. In this occasion, we're bringing the world to Charlotte. Our team, from a business recruitment perspective, has the privilege to travel the world, meeting with corporate decision makers to get them interested in expanding or relocating their business here. So, Adam, can you talk a little bit about how the President's Cup provides exposure for our region?
Absolutely. And I think, with respect to how it provides exposure, I think that's what we collectively, locally, will be working to do since we got here in the spring of 18 and then leading through the event. So, from a pure visibility standpoint, with respect to the broadcast, you're looking at reaching over 1 billion homes in 227 countries and territories. So, that's 1 billion homes over a 4-day broadcast, which is pretty impressive. But I think, with emerging technology and your network television, but also all of the OTT products and how the world is becoming more connected, we kind of take for granted access, to a screen. I mean, as we sit here today, we've got a computer, television, phone, screens are everywhere. I think the real key when we talk about exposure for the region is what we do to utilize this event and the attention and attraction of this event to really drive economic development, as those associated with Charlotte and the region have done so well for so many years. How do we identify partners that we may have on a global scale, because the event has been in Korea and Canada and South Africa and Australia 3 times, and identify opportunities for those corporate partners to see Charlotte as a potential, U.S.-based destination for international offices for their businesses. Similarly, you look at the international footprint of companies that already call Charlotte home, and how can we utilize their success in the region to grow and expand their partners, their vendors. So I think there's a lot of opportunities. You mentioned what the Panthers and the Hornets did, in Europe, and it's a similar model. We want to welcome we want to welcome the world to Charlotte, but we also want to showcase Charlotte to the world. And if the legacy of this event can be that it served as an opportunity or a springboard for driving business and growing business in the region, then that perhaps is the greatest impact we could ask for.
Yeah, Adam, it's really cool to hear your perspective. If you don't mind me asking this question, I know that you haven't lived in Charlotte for a long time, but you're now a resident in Charlotte. So it's really good to have you here on the ground, acclimated into our community. Would you mind just hitting briefly a little bit on your story about relocating to the Charlotte region not too long ago?
I'm happy to. I think your viewers are going to start to think this is a paid advertisement, though, because I'm from New York. My wife is from the Bay Area, and I've moved all around for work. But this opportunity came up, and we were all pretty excited about it. And then I made sure I told my wife, I said, that means we have to move across the country, away from family and friends.
Yeah.
And even though I grew up in New York, and we've got that kind of north-south corridor and a lot of movement down here, I'd never visited Charlotte or the state. I think many years ago, my father and his father used to go to Furniture Market. But that was my only familiarity with North Carolina. So we asked everybody we knew about Charlotte, and to a person, people could not have been more complimentary, about the city, the people, the business industry in the field. So we came and visited, and I'll tell you, for everything having been positive, Charlotte has exceeded all of the expectations we had when we moved here. So, we've got 3 young children, from our neighborhood to the schools, to the corporate community, to, there's an element of Charlotte that just gets supporting big events, whether it was the All-Star Game or, various national conventions, PGA Championship, the annual Wells Fargo event. It's just, it seems to be a real tight-knit bond between the corporate community and the public, and we all want to make Charlotte very welcoming. I think the sense of being welcomed by all the different communities was something that was not lost on us. And I imagine that those who have been a part of Charlotte's growth over the last 20, 30, 40 years can identify kind of the origins of that welcoming nature. So it's been phenomenal. There's not a single complaint that any of us can think of, and it's accessible. So whether it's my family from New York, my in-laws from California, our friends have wanted to come visit. I mean, you think of of all the reasons that, we would want to host a global event here, or all the reasons that the Alliance would try to help, businesses relocate here, or the CRVA would try to get, tourism to come here. Those are all the reasons that residents want to be here too. So
Right.
the beach, the mountains, the access to the cities on the East Coast, the emerging culinary scene. It's been a pleasure, and it's certainly a period of time that I know as a family, we'll look back on, as a really fond moment in our life together.
Well, we definitely didn't set that up, but Adam, I think you're right. We're gonna take that snippet out of this and use it for business recruitment purposes as well. I appreciate your perspective, and I wanted to ask that question because I think that your story is a story that so many of us can resonate with. People who aren't from Charlotte, who have come to Charlotte for business purposes and have fallen in love with what this city and what this region has to offer from a quality of life standpoint. We've been able to integrate into the business community, and we've just felt the connection that you just spoke so well of. And I think your story is emblematic of many other stories, and I think it's an example of the type of impression that we as a community get to make on so many people who will be here during the President's Cup next year. So I'm excited about the opportunity we have to make an impression, just as Charlotte and our region has made an impression on you and your family. When I think about the opportunity from a business standpoint, I think about relationship building. And for me, that's what I'm really looking forward to, and how at the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance, the President's Cup will allow us to develop so many relationships that we didn't have before. But how can businesses be involved? Because I know many of them want to be involved, and this is a great opportunity for them to strengthen existing relationships and to create new ones as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when you think about building a regional economy, I can imagine, inside your walls, you talk a lot about diversifying,
Yeah.
for the business sectors. So, when we look to build an event, and we want to build an event that is welcoming and encompassing of the entire community, we want to diversify the opportunities as well. So, there's kind of your impression of what you think an event looks like, just from your memory. And then there's the reality of kind of how an event comes together and creating those opportunities. So, just as you look to develop relationships, and the Alliance does, that's what a lot of our corporate partners do. They're looking to grow current relationships. They're looking to engage potential future relationships. And what we really pride ourselves on is that, while we are a premium global event that's only domestic every 4 years, so first time it's ever been in the Southeast United States, that doesn't mean that the barriers to entry are so great that a lot of the business and local corporate economy is going to have to miss out on that. So we've got different levels that certainly depend on your business size, but also kind of what your goals are. So you may prefer a smaller, more intimate experience, not because you're a small business, but because that's aligned with kind of your strategy with how you grow your relationships. So you may be larger, and you may want to mix assets up and have something that encompasses your ability to entertain 75 to 100 people a day over 4 or 5 days. But you may still want something smaller and unique, for a little bit of a one-on-one space. So we think between a couple different upgraded ticket options to private hospitality that ranges from 10 people a day up to 75 and more, we're able to engage the local business community and understand kind of what's important to them, what are their goals and objectives, and how do they identify kind of their ability to participate in an event like this. If you only need to entertain 5 people a day, we want to provide you with 5 options to entertain 5 people a day. If you're strapped from, hey, our business development budget is X, we don't want to come and hand you, okay, here's the paper that, if you have X, that's where you're going to be for the week. We want to say, okay, well, let's figure out, what we can do. So every opportunity that we pursue, with potential partners is geared towards identifying the right spot for your company to be successful. Even though we may not be back, for, 20 years or more, and people will have moved on, and companies will kind of evolve over that time. We look at every opportunity to work with partners like it's the beginning of a long-term relationship, and a relationship that you want to have every year moving forward. Because as we look at how the economy is growing and changing, we've got a company in South Korea that 2021 will be their 5th President's Cup with us.
Wow.
So they followed us around, international markets as well as domestic. And that's certainly something that we look to do with, a phenomenal corporate community here in Charlotte, that there's no reason that we can't start something that extends into 23 and 25 and 27. So that's how we approach the opportunities, and the opportunities they're plentiful. Although we did get here earlier than ever before, so we got a head start in 2018 with those, and we've kind of been on a record-breaking trajectory through the end of 19. So some of the larger inventory is spoken for already, but Quail Hollow provides a wonderful footprint, and we can always find space to build more.
Well, this is all really, really good information, Adam. What's the best way for companies to contact you or any member of the team to find out more information?
Our website, presidentscup.com, is a good source of information. Certainly from a historical standpoint, if you're not familiar with the event, you can get a pretty good education and background there. A lot of visual assets. If you look at our hospitality page, that can connect you to a digital brochure that really shows kind of how we envision Quail Hollow coming to life. You can take a virtual tour inside and outside a lot of our hospitality, our private and shared hospitality venues. You can add your name if you're interested in tickets or volunteering. We anticipate, launching tickets later on this year. But it's all there, and there's links, to contact our sales reps as well.
Great. Any parting thoughts for our audience, Adam?
No, just, wishing everybody well, during these challenging times, and, hopeful that everybody, personally and professionally, will find their way through this, and that collectively, we emerge, and I think we will, certainly a stronger sense of community. You see how everybody's coming together right now, and that's, it's part of what made Charlotte special, before this pandemic, and
right.
what will, help propel us through this, and, allow the region to come back even stronger, than before.